Welcome back, everyone. It's World Journey Family coming back to you. I'm Andrew.
And I am Jessica, and today I'm really excited about this video.
Yep, really excited to share with you some of our travel tips on Rome.
We will do another video later, I promise. Hopefully we'll get to it really soon with more of our general tips for traveling with elementary age children. But today we wanted to specifically talk about Rome. If you've been following us, you may know that we spent several days there. We actually also took our now 10-year-old there when he was 3, so we've been there twice with kids. I've been there another time as well. Rome is definitely, without a doubt, one of my favorite cities in the world. I joke all the time I could just move to Rome. As a family.
Yeah, I'm right there with her. I've only been there twice myself now, and only been to a handful of other, big cities, but this is my favorite city in the world. Great food, great culture, great history. I could go on and on about all of that.
Having first taken a 3-year-old to Rome, and then several years later having returned with a 10-year-old and 6-year-old, I think what we've decided is it's a great city to take children to. It's very navigatable with kids. I know the first time that we went, our son was still in a stroller, and I was very anxious about how are we going to navigate it. At that time, Andrews reminded me, I'd forgotten that we really didn't take the subway much.
No.
Very different than this time. We took the subway a lot. But yes, so let's jump right into some of the tips that we thought of for other families who might be considering taking their kids, especially school-age kids. A lot of these tips will apply even if you have younger kids or older kids than we do. But since we just left Rome recently, most recently with our 10 and our 6-year-old, really we did write these with kind of that elementary age in mind, probably the most.
Yep. So let's just go ahead and jump in with one of the biggest things of all cultures is eating, and we really enjoyed the food in Rome. However, many restaurants in Rome don't have a kids menu at all.
In fact, I don't think we saw a kids menu the whole time we were there.
Yep, it's way different than American culture, where a lot of restaurants have kids menus, where they bring like paper and crayons out to your table. They don't have that at many, if any, restaurants in Rome.
So they didn't cater to our kids. They didn't have those kids menus. They didn't have coloring things. But what I will say is the thing you're in luck with is the Italian food, especially in those more touristy areas, really appeals well to kids. It's pasta and pizza. Our kids went for some other things. They did get sick of pasta and pizza, which I didn't know was
possible. I don't understand that in Italy.
Like, literally, my kids started asking for, what else can we eat besides pasta and pizza? So we did find things other than pasta and pizza. You can find other things. We found a breakfast place where they were able to get breakfast food. They were able to find soup. My son had, like, a pork chop one day, so you can find other food.
We were able to find some sandwiches.
Yeah, so there is food other than pasta and pizza, but if your kids like pasta and pizza, you're in really good luck because that's everywhere.
And it's not anything like American pasta and pizza. This is way better than anything we get back in the States.
It's not anything like American pasta, but it's still recognizable enough that it's not like some foods when it's not like you're used to. Like mac and cheese, I feel like it's one of those things where if it's not the blue box mac and cheese, your kids might not eat it. It's still recognizable enough that we didn't have a problem with our kids not wanting to eat the pasta or pizza. Our kids just got sick of it because we were there for long enough. And what I will say is one thing I appreciated is we went to a lot of the really touristy areas. We also stayed a little bit off the beaten path, and then we went and found like the nice, more local restaurant where they didn't speak English, where when we went back to our hotel and told them, they're like, where did you go? I'm like, I don't know, here's a picture of the menu. And she was like, oh, that was so good because that was local. Even they had pasta and pizza. They just also had the soup, the pork chop, all of that stuff. So pasta and pizza, very easy split. A bowl of soup was a whole meal actually for our daughter one time. It is possible to find those types of food, but know that if you're going in and you're looking for a kids menu, maybe they have some in the really tourist areas, but we didn't find any.
There weren't many at all, if any. Now, along the same thought line of the restaurants, usually when you go to the restaurant, you also have to go to the bathroom, especially if you are a child. And when you are in Rome, or really with my very limited European experience, anywhere in Europe, I would say, you probably need to go when you are at a restaurant, or going before going to the restaurant. I just think when you have kids,
they should always, when they go to a restaurant, use the restroom. Like, that's just good practice.
Yeah.
But we definitely found that there were very few public restrooms in Rome. One of our tour guides did tell us, they just don't cater to Americans that way. They don't cater to families or tourists that way. He said something really interesting. He said there was a move a few years ago, and so all of these restrooms were like developed and then not used. And so he says that there are these secret restrooms like hanging out around Rome. So maybe someday they'll get the infrastructure. In the meantime, we did find at the Spanish Steps right by the metro.
There is a public restroom there. Now, again, different than a lot of American places, you have to pay to use the public restroom, but it is well worth it, especially when you have children and they're needing to go and you have nowhere else to go. €1 to go to the bathroom.
Totally worth it. We used it
totally
twice.
Worth it, yep.
Also, the Vatican City had one. Some of the tourists, some of the big tourist attractions that are more inside had one. The Vatican City, it was outside the cathedral. So they do have them sometimes in the tourist areas. Just know that it is more difficult. And so, best practice. Have your kid go to the bathroom before you leave. But I know, even with our 6-year-old, and it certainly was true before that when she was younger, when both of them were younger, that even when you do go before you leave, if you're out touring for several hours, they're going to need to use the restroom. Go get a quick snack at a restaurant and ask to use the restroom.
Yep, for sure. So. Now, Jessica had mentioned earlier that, last time we were in Rome, we didn't really use the metro, use the trains at all then. We had a 3-year-old and we were right by the Colosseum. We were able to walk everywhere. We literally had the Colosseum right outside of our window. I'll show a picture to you guys here in a little bit of it. But with us staying off the beaten path a little bit this time, we had to take the metro and train. Yeah, we had to use the whole metro system that they have there, and it was a longer wait time for the trains for us.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have entertainment for your children, and we highly recommend that entertainment not be screen time, but something small that you can. That's our personal preference, but have your screens available in case you aren't able to.
So for us, if you're used to New York City, London, one thing I'll say about Rome's metro is really easy to navigate. They have the blue line and the red line basically, so super easy. Only a couple of metro lines. Then they have these trains that feed into the city from further away. We were staying far enough away that we had to take a train in to catch the metro. The metro runs frequently and is a bit more crowded. They're a subway. Yeah. The trains, they are much less frequent, sometimes every 40 minutes. Nicer trains. We really liked the trains, but because they are those longer waits, it is important to check the schedule. For us, often, I love Google Maps. I discovered it last year when I was in Barcelona, how accurate it is. And so for us, I was often using Google Maps to see when the next train was. I found that was accurate. But getting my kids kind of ready for that, one thing that we did is we used it as a nice navigation practice and map reading practice. And both of our kids, even our 6-year-old, very quickly was able to learn to navigate this system. And I think that was a lot easier than it would have been in London or New York.
Definitely.
Both of which she has been on the subway in those systems, but we didn't practice the map reading skills so much, especially for her. We did a little bit for our son who's older, but it was easy enough to navigate in Rome that we were able to show her the map and say, hey, this is where we are, and hey, every day we're going to take this train to this metro station, and then we get on this metro, sometimes we'll go here, sometimes we'll go here, and she was able to get it. And so I personally like Rome's metro. It can be busy, it can be crowded, You do have to watch your signs, all of those things, but that's going to be true with most metro systems.
And along with it being a crowded metro system, that does bring us to one of the important things to be able to talk to your kids about, and to make sure that they are aware of where they are in time and place, being aware of pickpockets. Talking to them about it. It can be a little bit anxiety provoking for the children.
We have a kid with anxiety. We definitely found that once he heard about pickpockets, he did get a little spirally, as I would call it, a little bit of sicky thoughts related to pickpockets, and kind of started policing us about like, Mom, you haven't turned that backpack around yet. And I'm like, we're not at the metro yet. We're not in a crowded area. It's good. But just being aware that we did start teaching them some basic safety around, like, there are pickpockets. You could get swept up in a crowd that's trying to get on the metro, and so just teaching them, we're going to hold hands when we're getting on the metro.
Dad's going to hold his backpack on the front of him instead of on his back like he usually does. It might look a little bit different, but it's a way to keep your belongings safe and make sure that you are staying safe as well. And then, we have, a lot of our, more valuable stuff in a little wallet close to our bodies around our neck, tucking that into the shirt, which was something I didn't know beforehand. I would just, put it outside the shirt, and I thought I was good to go. And, Jessica here told me, no, Andrew, you want to put that underneath, because what they'll do is they'll come in, they'll try to take it off of you.
20 some years ago, my family did have an experience with a pickpocket on a metro in Rome, so that is why I'm a little extra aware in metros or in subways anywhere in the world, but kind of especially in Rome.
That wasn't an experience I had, so I'm very grateful that she was able to share that with me, so that I could stay safe. We could set a good example for our kids so that they know how to stay safe as well.
A little bit more fun thing to talk about. We wanted to share that one thing that we found kind of fun was that there are 13 of these obelisks, or they're supposed to look like Egyptian obelisks. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but throughout Rome, in front of major monuments, a lot of them actually are even designed in such a way so that when you're standing by one, you can see another, kind of like points to another important monument. Not all of them, but a lot of them. What's really cool about this is that designates that this is a really important place in Roman history. 8 of these are authentically Egyptian, actually brought from Egypt. 5 of them are ancient Roman obelisks that were made in Rome. The way it was explained by our tour guide was that they kind of like tried to make them look like the Egyptians and like put like some fake Egyptian like stuff on it, but they don't actually say anything. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that was how she explained it. What was cool was after we had that tour with him, sorry, it was he, not she, then our kids, every time we saw one, were like, oh, what does that mean? That tells you something that this is really important. And so that was kind of a fun thing for the kids to help keep them engaged as we're going around looking at lots and lots and lots of really cool historical things, but you want to help give the kids kind of something exciting. I think had I been aware of that beforehand, this is the kind of stuff that I get super excited about. I think I would have like printed off like a worksheet with the 13 obelisks and had them like color in when they found each one, so it would have been like a hunt to try to find them. I could have had a lot of fun with that. So somebody do that for me and put in the comments that you've done that, because I think that would be super cool.
And then another thing, Jessica doesn't know this yet, but there was another obelisk as well.
Oh yeah, until like 2005
maybe she does.
Or something.
Never mind, she totally knows. It was an Ethiopian obelisk that is no longer there. Another great thing you could do is find out where that was and have your kids try to locate that location in Rome as well. So leave that in the comments as well, if you know where that is. And hey,
if your kids have done that.
And if your kids have done that. And let us know what other great ideas you have, if you have been to Rome or if you're wanting to go to Rome.
The great news is, like, I like trying to find like these games and these ways to make history especially really engaging for kids, especially for the younger ones. Like our 6-year-old is old enough that we can start getting her involved in history and in geography and excited about these things, but sometimes she needs a little bit more entertaining than our 10-year-old. And
A
our
lot
10-year-old
more.
is like naturally super interested in this stuff. I think he was born interested. When he was 3, he was and we went there. He knew what the Coliseum was and was obsessed with Trevi Fountain and asked to go every day.
Yep.
Different kids, different personalities, different ages and stages and all the things. But honestly, there's so much beauty and excitement in Rome that they're going to get excited. Something else that I found for my daughter, because she is less naturally excited about this stuff.
She is, yes.
Motivating her on walking tours. I may have started keeping some like things and like just giving her little positive reinforcement, little bits of like snacks. I'm not saying that that's the best thing, but we did use some win-then statements of like, when we finish looking at this really cool historical thing and you're able to like give me a couple of things you've learned, then you're gonna get gelato. And let me tell you, gelato's a powerful reinforcer.
Gelato is a really powerful reinforcer. They actually took us on a walking tour of Rome and led us straight to gelato, shockingly, I know.
Yeah, one of the last days we were there, they wanted gelato. They'd been being good. We hadn't like promised gelato that day, I don't think. But what we did is we just said, hey, you can have gelato if you can find it. And so we went back to an area of Rome that we'd been to previously, and we just let them go find gelato.
And
it's everywhere. They can find it. We knew they could find
it's
it.
everywhere.
But they also
they were able to, like Jessica said earlier, map navigation. They used Apple Maps or Google Maps. I think it was Google Maps. And they would use
typed in gelato.
They typed in gelato, and they went on a hunt.
And they had to work together, which was great. They were working together to read Google Maps and navigate our way through. And because we chose an area of the town that we'd been to before, we felt a little bit more comfortable letting them take the lead. It was great. So, another great way. I guess there was a lot of teaching map skills, but there also was a lot of history and all of that as well.
Now, while there's so much history and culture and fun things to do in Rome, don't try to pack it all in each day. Don't try to do 4 or 5 big things in a day. Try to limit it to 1 or 2 if you can. Really take those things in, learn about it, and just soak up the moment. Don't rush through it.
I get wanting to do everything. I remember being a teenager and being annoyed with my dad who would try to do everything. And now I make that mistake sometimes. I overplan. But what we've learned, and this will probably come up in our general traveling thing as well, but what we've learned is that it just goes better with kids if we say this is our top 1 or 2 priorities for the day. Anything else is a bonus. And I think what's cool about Rome to me is if you say my top priority for the day is going to be to see blah, blah, blah. Literally, you walk down the street and like, oh, there's an ancient Roman ruin right there. And so I feel like if you say there's 1 or 2 top priorities, you're going to get in a whole bunch of other really cool stuff in the course of the day. But if you're not putting the pressure on yourself, you're going to be more at ease with your kids. And so that's been, I think, a really important thing. And then the last thing we wanted to say is, if you have the chance to go at Christmas, please do.
Definitely. We went last time in the summer in late June. It was great. It was really hot. And with a 3-year-old, totally great. With a 3-year-old out in the heat, it is a little bit more wearing and, trying on a family. But Christmas time, weather is wonderful. It doesn't get too cold. It was maybe 50s for...
I mean, we need to wear jackets.
Yeah, we did. We needed to wear jackets. My son may beg to differ on that, but we needed to wear jackets. But
us mere mortals.
Yes,
wear
I know.
Jackets.
But the lights and the
decorations, it's beautiful.
Decorations.
It's magical. It's not too crowded. Everything about their decorations was absolutely magical. And so we were there after Christmas, before they took the decorations down, because we've learned that in many parts of Europe, Christmas lasts for a while after Christmas.
They celebrate it for about a week or 2 after Christmas.
It felt like the perfect time to be there. It literally, my breath was taken away. Seeing like the tree on the Spanish Steps, seeing, sitting at little restaurants that had like the wreaths and the holly, like the decorations, seeing the lights. I mean, it was magical. And so don't be scared away by the coldness. If you are a world schooling family that has the flexibility to travel this time of year, please do
it. And if you do travel around this time of year, maybe go at Christmas, but if you go right after Christmas, you get not only the Christmas decorations, you also get New Year's. So they have this huge New Year's Day parade.
New Year's was amazing.
New Year's Eve was magical.
We didn't even go anywhere.
No.
Our kids were too tired because they were adjusting to the time.
We went back to our hotel, and luckily we had one high enough up, and it was facing Rome, and there were 50 fireworks displays lighting up the Rome night sky.
You think this guy's exaggerating. No. I don't exaggerate as much, and I'm telling you, it was amazing. Everywhere we looked.
Check out the video here, and you'll see just how beautiful it was.
I feel like the video doesn't capture
it doesn't.
It was too far away.
It was.
It was amazing. We just, everywhere you looked, all across, dotting the entire landscape, were so many fireworks. It was way better than even 4th of July at home.
Oh, yeah.
And what I will say is 4th of July at home, they go until 3 a.m. and keep the children up. It's like they went a good 20 to 30 minutes into the new year, and then they stopped. And then we were able to get to sleep. It was very respectful, but it was a flippin' party, even from the deck of our hotel.
I thought that seeing the ball drop in Times Square on TV, I thought that was really cool. This was phenomenal.
There's so many fireworks. People are out in the streets yelling. It's amazing. I would happily go back for another New Year's Eve.
If we are able to, we will be back on New Year's Eve one day. All right. Well, we hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And like always,
happy travels.